Hi, I'm Shane Cetus. I've been a Christian my whole life, and Jesus means everything to me. When I was in 5th grade, my school forced me to teach my kindergarten buddy about changing his gender using a book called My Shadow is Pink. The book said you can choose your gender based on feelings instead of how God made us. I knew this was not right, but I was afraid of getting in trouble. After my family spoke up, the school treated us badly, and kids started bullying me and my brother because of our faith. And the school did nothing to stop it. It hurt a lot, but I kept trusting God. I believe kids like me should be able to live our faith at school without being forced to go against what we believe. I hope no other family has to go through what mine did. Thank you.
I have no clue how to actually start this one, guys. I know I normally start off these videos with, and welcome back to another Bible study. It's not just because we're not doing a Bible study that I don't know how to start this video off, but we're going to be talking about a very dark topic, a very recent situation, and some things are going to be said, okay? Some things will be said. And Adrian, I'm going to say it right now, my brother in Christ, if they get us for saying some things the same way, I think it was they,
right?
if they do get us per se, the same way they got who we're about to speak about.
Send to me, interestingly, which is, okay, Charlie, we push back against the media on COVID, on lockdowns, on Ukraine, on the border, so maybe we should also ask a question. Is the media totally presenting the truth when it comes to Israel? Just a question, that maybe we shouldn't believe everything the media says, because I know I've been conditioned to ask a lot more critical questions over the last couple of years. So, Ben, some people would accuse Israel of wanting to ethnically cleanse. Some people in the Israeli government are saying, again, it's all over the place, right? You have opinions all over. In your opinion, what would a good outcome 5 years from now be, and how does one respond to the claims of ethnic cleansing? We're running out of time here, but just last question on this, Ben. I know this might be a tougher question, but Bibi said, quote, I didn't like how he said this, I'll be honest. You can't be MAGA if you're anti-Israel. I don't like it for a couple of reasons. How did you analyze that statement from Bibi?
And it is totally fine to say to people who wish to destroy our civilization, no, your values suck and they don't belong here.
Where does all this resentment come from?
That's a martyr death, brother. That is a martyr death, low-key. You have to remember, because we're not saying something that we're pushing the gospel here. So that's a martyr death, bro. I hope at least in the eyes of the Lord it will be. But obviously, if you guys haven't figured it out, we are talking about the Charlie Kirk situation. And this is going to be a very upsetting topic for some. Do I think we're going to show the video here? I don't think so. I don't think that would be really appropriate to. And yes, sorry, if sometimes we make jokes, it's a dark topic, okay? We're trying to, not make things humorful, but we're trying to brighten things up just a little bit, But when we're talking about they, I want people to remember, not a race. Not a race of people.
A whole ideology.
All right. And we all know who they is at this point, okay? But
since we already know,
basically,
you can just say it out, yeah.
I know. I'm being careful, okay? You know how serious the situation is? Even Nick Fuentes is scared to say it right now.
Mm-hmm.
He's not scared to say it. He's openly said, he's like, they got him. We know who they are. They did it. The fact that he's not saying it, something is seriously going on right now. Now, let's talk about it, I guess. For those who don't know, I'm sure everybody knows. There are protests all around the world over it, actually. Protests, vigils, however you want to word it. Um, and these are actually peaceful, by the way. Not the peaceful ones that happened in 2020. Uh, but at a college campus, university at Utah, and Charlie Kirk went there, like he's done to dozens, if not more, other universities, and was talking to people, and he got assassinated. That is the only proper way to say it. Now, I happen to have, learned some information about the caliber used of it. And for those who don't know what my profession is, I actually am a lead range safety officer and I'm a firearms instructor. I do have a fair bit of knowledge on firearms, it's safe to say. So I will be discussing that a bit. I will be discussing what my thoughts on it are, and Adrian, I hope you will be discussing yours as well. But he got assassinated, he got shot in the neck, and it's a very interesting spot. Some people feel like it was intentional, like they were going for his vocal cords. I'm going to be 100% honest with you guys. I don't think that was the case. And the reason why I believe that is because the caliber that was used was 30-06. And for those who don't know what 30-06 is, it was used to be a very common caliber back in the day. The M1 Garand shot 30-06. A lot of people use it for hunting still to this day. Pretty great caliber. That is a 30 caliber bullet, though. That's a fairly heavy bullet, guys. That's just the nicest way for me to say it. The heavier the projectile is, you can expect some drop at a distance. Now, the shooter assassinated him from 200 yards away. Now, I'll tell you this right now. I'm a fairly good shooter. Do I think it's impossible to hit a human-sized target from 200 yards away? No. What I think it's pretty hard to do, especially considering the rifle that was used. It was I believe it was like an 80-year-old rifle. Wouldn't necessarily be the most accurate, but I do believe that it's much harder to go for a headshot on somebody, especially somebody who's moving around and actively talking to people, from 200 yards away with an 80-year-old rifle shooting a 30 caliber bullet. That's why, sorry.
Like you need to be aiming at his hair a little bit higher, above, like an inch above that.
I would, or maybe if you're setting your sights up like an inch, something like that. There is a certain amount of math to it that you would have to do, and sometimes it would require trial by error, especially since if you don't have an optic on there. Okay, I can see that. Maybe this guy had some sort of scope on there that
He had.
I'm
there was like
unaware
a
of.
video of a black optic. Black
Really?
laser. Yeah.
Okay, so that's interesting. That adds more perspective to it. Okay, now that makes a bit more sense in regards to, if it's remotely close to zero, what probably happened is he got nervous, jerked the trigger. What people don't understand is when you're supposed to be pulling a trigger, it's not like, you're not supposed to be just yanking and jerking the trigger. You're supposed to use a specific part of your finger. If you're going for accuracy, you're not going fast on the trigger at all. You're going super duper 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 slow on the trigger. And if you're wondering which part of the finger it is, Adrian, it's the middle of the first pad. So not the fingertip, not the joint, but the middle. So with a rifle, even from a laying position, right, it's not difficult to take your time, take that shot. Chances are what happened is Guy got some nerves, and just jerked the trigger.
Or probably even the
Now,
breathing.
that's a possibility as well. What I will say though is that oftentimes when you jerk the trigger, whether you're left-handed or right-handed, it does result in the shot going a bit low.
Uh-huh.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, from our perspective at least, which would also have been not from the shooter's perspective, but when looking at Charlie, right? Um, to us, it would have been his right side of the neck that got hit, but it was actually his left.
Mm-hmm.
If the shooter was left-handed, jerking the trigger would make sense. Low, right. Because when you're a left-handed shooter and you jerk the trigger, that's where your shots tend to go, because your hands will not stay steady if you're just trying to go for rapid movement.
Yeah.
That's why I actually tell people in classes, hey, yeah, if you take your time, you're going to hit where you want to. If you need to go quick, you can expect to be a lot less accurate, and that's something I've even had to come to terms with, because I want my what's called groupings, right? The group of rounds that you put on the target. I want them to be freaking pretty much fist sized, right? While I'm actively moving and doing stuff. And my boss, who is a Purple Heart Marine, had to be like, Mark, that's pretty much impossible, dude. You're not going to be able to do that. He's like, I can't do that. I've been doing this for much longer than you. I can't do it. He's like, no one else here can. They're also former Marines. Sorry, dude. And I'm like, okay, that makes sense. But my point is that possibly jerking the trigger, even without jerking the trigger, a 30 caliber bullet is still a very heavy bullet. I do expect drop at 200 yards, without a doubt, especially considering while the round I use is not as powerful as 30-06, I do own a rifle that shoots a 30 caliber projectile. I own an AK-103 that shoots 7.62 by 39. It's a 30 caliber bullet.
Yeah.
While not having as much oomph behind it, 7.62 by 39 isn't even effective out to 300 yards. Why? Because it drops and it doesn't maintain the punch that it needs. Yes, 30-06 has more punch to it, so there is that. However, 200 yards, that doesn't change the drop. That doesn't change the drop because it's not the exact same weight, but the same size projectile. So there is that. This guy was, in my professional opinion, and I can 100% say that. I used to say that as a joke, but I can say genuinely, in my professional opinion, this guy was just going for a headshot. Because 200 yards, expect some dropping. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. I really doubt the guy sighted in his scope all the way out to 200. I doubt it. But moving on just from that, the shooter, I don't care what anybody says. I don't know if I fully believe this kid was the shooter. How do you feel about that, Adrian?
Can't say for sure, but it was like the angle of the shot is like low, right? It came from the side. It was very low to be from that high up.
There are some things that feel really off to me. Now, I'll say the Prime Minister of
Yeah.
he did something very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
He tweeted before even President Trump did. President Trump and Charlie Kirk, if I'm not mistaken, were at least friendly. They were, they both really liked each other, not in that weird way, obviously, but they had to have been friends. If not, they were fairly good friends. So it makes zero sense why he would put up prayers for Charlie Kirk or praying for Charlie Kirk, even before the President of the United States, who's much closer with the man, did. That's very suspicious, dude. And then afterwards, posted again and went on a longer, wrote a whole paragraph about it. Something's off about that. Am I wrong here?
No.
So there is that. There's the fact that, I don't know if you saw this, Adrian, there's a book on Amazon, and Amazon claims to have rectified it. Oh, it was just a mistake. This is not what it was. The book is called The Shooting of Charlie Kirk. It says the name of the school, and it says, oh, and this was America's response. Okay, that's interesting considering America is still actively responding. I think we could agree on that, right? But beyond that point, right? Guess when the publishing date was, Adrian? September 9th. You're 100% correct. For those who don't realize, the date that Charlie Kirk was assassinated was September 10th. The publishing date of this book that mentions him being assassinated at the school, very school by name, and supposedly having America's response, its publishing date is the day before the assassination took place.
And if you see tweets of the LGBT community, they have been posting it for almost a month now. There is inside operations between those groups, those communities, those three, and they are all against humanity. That's all I can say.
There is something very serious happening, is what I want to point out to everybody. And some people might be wondering, why would they, Adrian, please show off your prop. Thank you. Why would they do this? Elise, excuse me. An idea I've heard floating around, and I don't believe this is super far off, to be honest. I think what's happening is they are trying to bait us into a civil war in the United States.
If you want to know the truth behind the Charlie Kirk assassination, you can't turn to the media or to the government. We've been lied to about JFK, MLK, the shooting in Butler, the shooting in Vegas, vaccines, Epstein, and countless other events. So what makes you think that this time around they'll tell us the truth? But let me tell you the indisputable facts. This event was carefully planned. It was a professional marksman that aimed perfectly at the neck, so they wanted to make a gruesome statement that free speech is no longer safe. It's not a coincidence that seconds before he got shot, the trans debate was taking place, and a few days before that, he was raising doubts about the US government being owned by the Jewish lobby. This event is perfect to raise the hate bar between liberals and conservatives. And if God forbid something happens to a liberal political figure, then this could lead us into civil war, and it will give the people in power every reason to crack down on free speech and take away our Second Amendment. They want us to fight amongst each other. We have to be smart and see clearly even with all the emotions. Let's not be silenced, let's not be divided, and like Charlie, let's keep fighting for our values.
I think they're trying to make it a political civil war, left versus right. However, the problem is, just coming from a logical standpoint, when you view it as left versus right, there's a false dichotomy created. Am I wrong here, Adrian? There is a third option. Return to Christ. That is your third option. That is the option. I think it's very suspicious that Ben Shapiro is trying to step up and take over. I think it was Charlie's talk show, or there's something along those lines. And Ben Shapiro definitely is a part of they. So what I can say here is there's a lot of things going on. And while you might think we're off, I really don't think we are here. I really don't. Adrian, thoughts?
I agree with you. Just
Uh, It, there would be zero other reason for Charlie Kirk. While I will say, I'm sorry, go ahead.
yeah, like given that this week had so many incidents involved with that country, with their neighboring nations, that says something.
Yep. And very interestingly enough, recently, Charlie Kirk, while he was one of the biggest dispensationalists out there, he used to be. All right. Recently, before he was assassinated, his views were changing on them. And that says a lot. That very recently his views started changing on them, and they got him. It's very interesting that their prime minister posted before the president of the United States did. It's very interesting that one of the most popular of them, Ben Shapiro, is trying to take over in certain aspects of Charlie's business. You see what I mean? There's a lot wrong here. There's a lot wrong here. Charlie Kirk, while definitely was conservative, Christian, don't get me wrong, he was, in my opinion, him and I agreed on actually most things. I would
Virtually
say
almost
that if him and I
everything.
had, yeah, they're like the only, I'm not sure what denomination he is,
Evangelical.
uh, evangelical, of course.
But
Um,
he was speaking about how Christians were under, like the Protestants were under venerated Mary, and he wanted that to
so,
change.
First say, I think we as Protestant evangelicals under venerate Mary. She was very important. She was a vessel for our Lord and Savior. I think that we as evangelicals and Protestants, we've overcorrected. We don't talk about Mary enough. We don't venerate her enough. Mary was clearly important to early Christians. There's something there. In fact, I believe one of the ways that we fix toxic feminism in America is Mary is the solution. Have more young ladies be pious, be reverent, to be full of faith, slow to anger, slow to words at times. Mary is a phenomenal example, and I think a counter to so much of the toxicity of feminism in the modern era.
so my thing is that while I didn't agree with him on everything, okay, and of course, I did agree with him on most things. He did push Christ. Yeah, I'm all for that. There is no denying that.
Yeah.
He did push traditionalism, having a family. I'm all for that. Don't get me wrong. Um, the only thing that I would say him and I didn't agree on outside of maybe denomination choice would have been the dispensationalism. And again, that was changing recently before he was assassinated, which furthermore proves my theory that it's they who did it. Uh, Dude, he would invite people on campuses, and yes, again, right leaning, conservative Christian man. But he would invite people out, one of the campuses he would visit just to debate. And one, that takes balls to do. You have to be a very smart, very sharp guy to do that, especially all day, especially considering you don't know what topics these people are going to bring up to you.
And like the
Um,
patience, I would say in that aspect, he's like the best of us, because most of us here are
Very patient guy.
we are very extreme, and we are. If you think he was far right, you should see
Oh my
us.
gosh. If you think that he was far, oh, you don't understand. You have no idea what has definitely been woken by people, unfortunately. And I would argue that this assassination was the turning point where the right realized we probably are not radical enough. And a lot of people don't like hearing that, but that's the truth. Charlie Kirk was one of the most moderate out of the right. He would actually listen and, hear these words and not laugh at them and make fun of them. I couldn't do that, bro. I really couldn't. I would hear certain things and immediately just be like, get out. Just leave. Just leave. Leave. This is not your school anymore. Get out. You're unenrolling today. You're not worth being in college. It's a waste of money. Okay? You're going to be homeless anyways. You don't need to be homeless with a degree. That's the level of pettiness I go to. You would have just sat there and listened and debated. In the end, assassinating him probably was the worst choice that they could have made. And I want to, bring up a quote because of, recent situations. There was a quote. I'm not going to say it directly because it involves something that we're trying to avoid saying out loud because and he said, can't remember the guy who said it for the life of me. I know this makes it sound like it's a fake quote, but if you know who they is, you can look up the quote. Just replace they. Yeah. And he said, when there's a law to protect they, and in this reference, it's referring to a law where it's showing a good sense of favoritism. It's the context of it. When there are laws made specifically only to protect them, it's usually the beginning of the end for them. So do with that quote what you will. If you want to search it up, find it, go ahead. That's fine. But that's a very interesting quote, and I think we're seeing a lot of that nowadays. So that does kind of bring some light to it if that quote is accurate. But Charlie's death was something that should never have happened. Even if it wasn't them, right? And it was just somebody who assassinated him over a disagreement in ideology. It's despicable. That's the nicest way to say it.
Because it can either be two things. There is no in between. There is no middle ground. If you check the person's background, you can say that he had a affair with a genetically mutated being. All right, that's all I can say. And mentally, like, I don't know the word for it, like super challenged person. So it's either out of selfish interest or Mark's reason.
I'm leaning more towards my reason. But even if it's not, dude, there's no justification for the assassination of Charlie Kirk.
Yeah.
There's none.
We should now move on to the next level of topics.
Yeah, absolutely.
About humanity and everything else, yeah.
A lot of people have decided to celebrate the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Disgusting. You were disgusting people. And I don't mean disgusting as in, yeah, you probably do smell. You probably are dirty, But I mean spiritually, you are disgusting. I truly, truly say that if you do not repent and find Christ, good luck. Good luck. Because you just praised the assassination of one of his followers. good luck. Some of these people have been reprimanded in right ways. I, do agree with some of the ways some of these people have been reprimanded. Some of them have been fired. They have lost their career. They will never be able to work in the field that they have put their life's work into again. I like that. Go ahead, Adrian.
I don't want it to edit there. I want it to be like a black stain on their CV or like their working record that they can never get a job again. If they laugh
That would
at,
be fair.
yeah,
I accept your terms. I do. I do. Um, some of these people even are in education. When I say that they're in the education field, go ahead,
healthcare as well.
healthcare as well. Thank you. Uh, we're talking elementary school teachers. Allow me to pull it up real quick and then I shall screen share. Oh. So, a teacher, quote unquote, allegedly, he did that. They did it. Showed the Charlie Kirk assassination video to their 10 and 11-year-old students on repeat and said he deserved to be assassinated.
If you have like the news article or something, you could share it.
Yes, I do. I'm pulling that up right now. Continue. Start. All right, cool. All right. So, right here, you can see for yourself, this is from the New York Post. A public school teacher has been suspended after allegedly showing a video of Charlie Kirk's assassination to students as young as 10 in his class. Authorities in Canada said, so this was in Canada, I presume.
Yeah.
The teacher also suggested that Kirk deserved to be assassinated. We'll say that instead of that word, just in case YouTube doesn't like that word in particular. And gave the young students a speech about anti-fascism and transgender issues. According to a report, several students from his class went home and complained to their parents, traumatized at witnessing the on-camera death, which they were forced to witness numerous times over. A source told the Toronto Sun, after the shocking incident at a school in Toronto on September 11th, parents subsequently reached out to school administrators who will be putting him on leave at the start of the school day, September 12th, 2025. Now, of course, for those of you guys who are wondering, they do have to do an investigation and stuff, and then he will actually be punished. But the source added, while playing this video repeatedly, he gave a speech to his students regarding anti-fascism, anti-trans, and how Charlie Kirk deserved for this to occur. The letter was sent home on September 12th to all students affected by the showing of the video, calling the teacher's alleged behavior extremely troubling and completely disturbing. The Toronto Sun reports, during class, students were said to have been shown a portion of a violent video in response to questions being asked about a recent tragic event in the United States, read the letter signed by Corvette Jr. Public School Principal Jennifer Copty. The letter stated that the video was allegedly shown to students in grades 5 and 6, typically aged 10 to 11, by a staff member who was supervising a French immersion class and was not the regular teacher. While an investigation must still be conducted to learn all of the details, the report of this incident is extremely troubling and completely unacceptable. The letter continued, we recognize the seriousness of this matter and have taken immediate steps to follow all appropriate policies and procedures, Copty wrote. The teacher has been relieved of all teaching responsibilities pending the outcome of the investigation and will not be at the school. The letter continued. Assistance is being offered to any children traumatized by the incident, Copty said. I also want to assure you that our top priority is supporting students' social work. Support has been made available to the school. The letter continued, I will be visiting the class along with a member of our social work team to check in with students and provide support. Cool, I didn't really need to read the last of that, but hey, you guys can't say and I don't read things in context or in its entirety.
Do you want to go to
Just
the
adjust.
topic of what the word means? What they've been calling us or the ones following Christianity? I'll share it for a moment.
Yeah,
I
go
think
ahead, pull it up.
he was sharing speeches against those views as well. So let's just share it and see what they call us. Read the highlighted definition, Mark.
Absolutely. So, fascist, someone who does not allow any opposition.
All right.
How convenient. I wonder which definition came around first. The one that was highlighted, or, the one they tried providing beforehand that tried saying those who are far right.
The one at the bottom came first because
Of
it's an
course.
ideology that evolves, right? That
Exactly.
ideology
And that's what
evolved. Yeah.
and that's what people don't seem to remember. This word did have an original definition, and the way people are using it right now is far from the original definition, just to say the least. I just can't believe this has happened, though. I really can't. It doesn't make any sense why somebody would do that to him of all people and then expect that everybody's just going to be cool about it.
And it happened because he was
Sorry.
talking about like churches and the relevant that specific gender attacking churches, right?
Hmm.
That freak, that abomination of God's creation attacking churches. That's the kindest thing I can say, Ma.
Dude, it's taking a lot for me to not like get super angry about this. It
Yeah.
really is. Because again, yeah, I would argue my views are more extreme than his, for
Yeah.
sure. However, I can also say that, especially for him being much, much, much less extreme than even I, definitely did not deserve what happened. Nobody really deserves what happened, especially even if, again, if it's not what I originally said and it's just differing ideologies that led to that, that still doesn't justify it. That's still extremely disgusting.
And he died. He died at his last moment, defending Christians, defending the church, defending innocent children. That was the context of the topic he was talking about at that point.
He died
In
preaching the gospel.
Yeah, the attack on Christianity and those who want a proper family model, something long lasting. The attack on us is imminent and obvious.
Very.
If you go to post, you see them laughing at us. You see they call us fascists for wanting what is best. God's laws in the Bible are not just simply given for us to follow under dictatorship. If in 1 Corinthians 6:9 and Leviticus chapter 20, verse 13, do not come to me about the Greek, I know, and Hebrew, I know the definitions. Go to Bible Hub and search it. It says full grown old man with another full grown old man, male. All right? God didn't allow that because of what? STDs. What else, Mark?
It's unnatural.
Unnatural. And if you see then what they're doing today, they're adopting. And what happens when they adopt? To
They
those,
do some disgusting things to those children who they adopt.
they're too, which is too wild to even be called human. Not even animals do this to their young.
Yeah. I never heard of any sort of animal. Should we just say it?
Just say,
I've never heard of any animal molesting their young. some people are going to be like, oh, well, technically the word molest literally just means to touch. No. You don't molest a child, dude. We know what they do.
Yeah.
Let's not play that game. Dude, I'm just so heated about this Charlie Kirk thing.
And what pisses me off even more is that there are Christian preachers, content creators, going off, publishing false claims, taking off a 10-second clip of his words, his opinions, what he meant for good, out of a 2-hour podcast and publish it to frame him as an enemy of Christ. I'm sure you have seen examples of that. We'll talk on that topic, Mark. What are the 3 or 4, 5? I think there are like 5 areas they have tried to frame him on. I'm sure you know all of them.
So they tried attacking his faith. We already covered the assassination part of it. That's 2.
No, I mean like
The
5 things he said, which they took out of context to mark as hate, xenophobic, and all those stuff, like things from his
oh,
speeches.
I mean, I could think of plenty. You know what I mean? That's all they do is try to clip out of context.
Start from the
I
first, we'll
mean,
discuss it. Like,
so the first one I can think of off the top of my head is when they argue that he's making, when they argue, okay, so when they argue that he's trying to get violence put on the trans people,
yeah,
it's a very common claim that is being pushed against Charlie Kirk, and plenty of times he's just sat there and just disproven what they're talking about. He's never said anything about violence. Has never said, "Hey, go attack these people."
yeah.
That happens all the time. It's just my whole problem with this is that I don't know. I know I'm repeating myself, but dude, this man did not deserve that. I get nobody deserves that, but this man of all people was just a normal guy. He really did not deserve that.
Yeah. And talking about the topic on trans hate apparently, which is hate.
Mhm.
Let's go to Jeremiah chapter 1. Because Charlie Kirk was affirming your identity which you had at birth, pushing family values, and what he believed in this. Mark, could you read verse 5 for me?
Absolutely. Jeremiah chapter 1, verse 5. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you, and before you were born, I consecrated you. I appointed you a prophet to the nations.
So, yeah, what does it affirm from that scripture?
It affirms that the Lord forms us in the womb. There is that. It also shows us that God knew exactly what and who we would be, even before we were born.
Exactly.
It shows that there is value to that life.
And is that by any means anti-Christian?
Seems pretty far from it.
Is that anywhere against the views of Christ?
No. Christ affirmed the Old Testament. He quoted it plenty of times over.
And let me remind you that these surgeries are not normal. They're not natural. They're not part of the natural human biological process. All right?
That entire community goes against the natural human process. I mean, even if we're not going to those who do those surgeries, right? Let's talk about those who do Leviticus 20:13, right? Dude, apparently it actually wrecks their bottom. Like to the point that sometimes they'll legitimately just poop themselves. It's just not natural. None of that is natural, dude.
Infections, hygiene, and when it comes to the trans people, unnatural hormone level regulations and effects with immunology. All right, and these people and their appeal to emotions. And the last one is the average lifespan of such an individual is half of that as a normal human, according to research studies. What?
Well, I'll tell you this too. Even post surgery, it's like a 7 out of 10 chance that, they.
It takes $40,000 back to retransition, I believe.
That's a lot of money.
They're not after your identity, they're after your wallets. They're not here to affirm anything. They're after money.
Other than that, they got paid.
Yeah, that's the whole idea of big pharma.
And I mean, I'll be one of the first to tell you guys, I think the only medicine I've taken in good long time actually has been like little over the counter stuff, like if I'm sick, like mucus relief. That's about it. You really don't need much more, guys. God provides you plenty of ways to get yourself healthy if you're not feeling well.
There are so
But
many fruits, so many vegetables, so many herbs, all goes
it's
great.
insane. But, and dude, what these people are doing is so far from God's creation, it's not even a joke. It's truly terrifying for a lot of people.
It's anti-biological, it's non-sustainable, it harms your health in the long run,
In the short run, too.
your short run as well, yeah. And it gives you that logic should be drowned by emotion. That's the whole appeal to this community. That's the whole idea behind this community.
And
Since
I'm sorry, but personally, I don't care about
yeah,
someone's feelings. That's the thing. I care about the truth more than somebody's feelings.
I mean, Mark, if you want to put this in the atheist or scientific perspective, we humans have come down so many years, all right? And to behave in such a primal way where we still put emotional needs ahead of logic and the truth, that says a lot about us. That says that we have not evolved as a species, right? In terms of thinking, in terms
Oh,
of,
100%,
yeah,
100%. It's been thousands of years, and we've been like that. We're not going to get any better on that. Hate to break it to you guys. Uh, and here's what I'll say too. It's kind of funny because the majority of atheists, and if you guys don't know, I am a former atheist. I am Catholic now. Uh, but moving on, it's funny because atheists will always run to the Big Bang and evolution and all that. Well, first off, Darwin's theory of evolution is simply still that, a theory. There has never been any actual proof to assert this. Now, some people are going to try to argue, oh, well, no, actually, it's a scientific theory, and that means it just hasn't been repeated, but it is fairly reliable. No, I don't care about that. That's not what it actually is referring to when we're talking about evolution. So it's still a theory. There is no actual evidence to it. We've we have proof that humans have been around for thousands upon thousands of years, Homo sapiens, and no evolving. Some people might argue, oh, well, we adapt to our environment. That's not evolving. It's
and
not evolving.
and can you call it adapting if you still put your emotions ahead of logic and truth? How are you going to survive?
Amen. In the end, even coming from a former atheist perspective, trying to look at everything scientifically, it doesn't line up for the atheist perspective, you know? And that was the funny thing to me, is that, again, atheists will run to Darwin's theory of evolution, which has no actual backing to it, or they'll go to the Big Bang. Adrian, do me a favor, my brother in Christ, please
Yeah.
look up who came up with the Big Bang.
It's
Keep in mind, guys.
Georges Lemaitre, Belgian priest.
Oh, what is he? What, a Belgian what?
Priest.
Oh, so this was a man of God.
Yep.
So in other words, he came up with this theory to help study God's creation, help prove
Not
God's point,
not only
or
that,
excuse me, help prove the point of God.
not only that, all Christian scientists who found anything in the past, they were either deists or Christians who believed in God. And what they believe is that what they found doesn't take away from what God has created, but complements or can rather coexist. Religion and science, God and science can coexist.
So it's just very interesting that the atheists will run to something like the Big Bang. It makes no sense.
And to break down like the foundation of what they believed in, or like the foundation what they based upon when making these theories, is not scientific, it's not historical, nor is it intellectually honest as well, right?
No, I completely agree with you. And a lot of people would try to argue, oh, well, we see, evolution, every day. We just don't realize it. That's nonsense, dude. Oh, well, the monkeys are using tools. That's a sign of evolution. Those monkeys are not going to start walking, talking like us and getting 9 to 5s. That's not happening. It can be a million years. It's not happening. And not to mention, even if it was happening, you would have an actual line of evidence for it. According to evolution, there's a missing link. How interesting.
Now that was one. The next topic was anti-feminism. They claimed of him being anti-feminist from his speeches. All right. So if you are going to use that, I think you would have seen this video of him talking to a dark-skinned lady, right? She was carrying a baby. And don't you remember Charlie calling her and her son a gift of God
Hmm.
when he was pulling the microphone?
How are you? What a beautiful kid that is.
Thank you
What a gift
so
from God.
much.
Yeah.
She truly is. She is the biggest blessing. Something that kind of has me like on the fence of whether or not I go kind of like full blown more like conservative or moderate is just seeing how
Give it up. That is a gift from the Lord, everybody. That is just beautiful.
I see that, we're starting to save a lot of money from things such as like Doge, but do you think that some of that money should go back to maybe like reforming the way that welfare is done to help poor families who do want to kind of pursue that American dream?
Great question. The number one objective of any social welfare program should be, how do we keep the family together and put dads back in the family? Unfortunately, in the black community, dads are the most absent of any community. About 2/3 of all black youth will be raised without a stable father around. And I know it's crazy, right? And that little precious angel of yours deserves to have a father around. And unfortunately, as we've removed dads from families, government has come in and has taken the place. So some people need help and they need social assistance. All of that should be about incentivizing the dad staying around, not the dad leaving. The Democrat Party does not talk about dads at all. The Republican Party, we are talking about how men need to be men again, in the home, take responsibility, provide for your family, and with strong families comes smaller government and a better country.
So how could you ever insinuate that he was against female rights? The Bible.
Now, another thing I want to, real quick, I want to point something out too. What people fail to realize is the feminist ideology of today isn't what feminism actually was back when it was first started. I'll be honest with you, if we had known it would turn into this, I feel like everybody would have been like, even the women would be like, no, I'm good. I know plenty of women actually who have said that to me. They're like, dude, I did not ask for all this. They're like, I did not want to deal with this. I can't blame them, you know? But in the end, yeah, he was technically anti the modern day feminist because the modern day feminist hates men. I'm sorry, but they hate men and then they attack men and then they go under this guise of, oh well, we want equality for everybody. No, you don't. You don't want equality for men.
Because
So
what's
it's not.
like
Go ahead.
I'll summarize this very shortly. It was like almost as if women were slaves back then, that they had no rights, they had no voting, nothing like that. They got their rights, they got jobs, they got almost equal pay for the equal amount of work, right? And now at this level, you can see it as equal, and they'd be proud of what they fought for. Now they want to supersede men. They want to be above men. And what else?
They want to demote men lower,
They
but
want they want to make society a matriarchy, and they think that there'll be no wars in the world, where I think there'll be a war every 28 days.
I agree. Some people would argue, oh well, they'll just figure it all out. Dude, can you show me a matriarchy that has worked out?
There are so many tribal matriarchies that have completely failed. There were Greek, there were Romans, Aztecs.
It's laughable. And this isn't to say that no women can be good leaders or anything,
Yeah.
but it's simply the matriarchal system does not work. It does not work. Why? Women be womening, dog.
And
That's the best way to say it.
And Charlie promoted the role of a woman in a family, right? Because the Bible explains the woman as a weaker vessel because she's the one who takes care of the family, while the man protects and provides.
There's a reason why the dress for the man is the same at a wedding and a funeral, because you're saying goodbye to your previous self. The woman is the icon, the symbol of beauty, almost always in all white, right? Ascendant. The man is usually in black and white, like he's attending somebody's death, because it is his death. No, but think about it. It's the death of the bachelor mindset. It's the death of promiscuity. It's the death of the wandering eye. It's the death of immoral behavior. It's the death of texting girls casually. It's the death of I get to do what I want to do. It's the death of just going to the bar with friends. It's the death of acting like an infant. It's the death of playing video games till 1 a.m.
All right?
Amen. I mean, there's been videos where he's literally said, he's like, dude, having a family, getting married, having a family, it's the coolest thing ever. I love doing it. He literally said it. He's like, dude, I love it. Every little bit of it, I love it. It's the best thing ever.
Yeah. And like, that's beautiful. Like a picture behind the Bible, it's beautiful. I don't care if someone crops this speech and takes it out of context, but women have a role to play. Men have a role to play within the family. Men can't do everything women can do. Women can't do everything men can do. And that's beautiful. We complement each other. We complete each other. That's what's beautiful about it.
Amen.
That's
point 2.
Third one was hate against black people. Skin.
I mean, I could have sworn that God said we were all created in his image. I mean, we make some pretty crazy jokes, Adrian, I think it's safe to say that neither of us, and we're on the more extreme end. We are more extreme than Charlie Kirk is. I don't
But
think we, for me, I think people fail to realize what racism actually means.
yeah,
And this is what I was getting at. We don't hate people for the color of their skin. We don't think that there's a superior race in that sense.
yeah.
We are all created in God's image. However, what I can say is if you act like a stereotype, I'm going to call you that stereotype, dude. Deal with it. That's not racism. That's pattern recognition.
That's called
When a
statistics. Yeah.
when a crow does it, it's called smart. When I do it, I'm called racist and anti-Semitic.
And like,
So
if you go to Google and search who hosted or like the 2019 Black Leaders Summit in USA, the name that appears is Charlie Kirk.
Charlie Kirk sent me a direct message, and I'm going to show you what it said. This is almost 6 years ago exactly now, as of this video. I had not spoken to him in person or on social media. He started the conversation. You know what he said? 3 words. You are terrific. Now, bear in mind, this is back before I was blessed with the followership I have now. I had fewer than 10,000 followers on Instagram, very small Facebook presence, wasn't even on TikTok at the time. But the fact of the matter is, this young man, this leader of Turning Point USA, reached out to me and saw something I had done. And he felt so moved that he reached out to me himself to encourage me. And then he went a step further. He invited me to the BLS, which is the Black Leadership Summit Turning Point USA was putting on in Washington, D.C. I told him, transparently, I was in between jobs and didn't have the money to fund my trip. He told me that they had scholarships available and to email him directly and he'd be able to take care of it. I did, and that's the story of how I got to be a part of the Young Black Leadership Summit, which was instrumental in springboarding me to where I am today. Now, I share that story because he didn't have to do that. And if he was a racist person, why would he do that? I'm so tired of people being besmirched by the tired liberal lie that anyone they don't like has to be some sort of racist. And I'm not immune to this. They call me racist myself. Of course, it's ridiculous on its face, but this is the nonsensical nature of your average leftist. They really want you to believe deep down Charlie Kirk hated all black people. He saw the best in everyone. He saw in me something I didn't even quite see in myself at the time. And he chose to encourage me. That is why I will literally and metaphorically pick up that mic and continue the work that he started. Because I myself and many others are tired of being slandered and maligned by individuals who have nothing to sell us but fear, panic, and lies 24/7. I had to share that story with you. I thought about keeping that to myself, but the more I see him being typecast as some sort of evil person, the more I cannot be silent, and I hope that you will not be silent as well. It is time for action like never before. It is time for voices to rise like never before, and I hope you will join me in that effort. So that is the real Charlie Kirk, the one they don't want you to know, but the one I will continue to remember and honor with my actions into the future. So those are my thoughts. Hopefully you share, and hopefully you get busy as well, because we all have microphones to pick up, and we are all Charlie Kirk.
We're all God's image. Doesn't matter what color we all bleed the same blood. Charlie also defended the NBA. What did he say? That when he was arguing with a girl who said there should be 50% of white males in NBA, he said that the product would suck. Now, is that racism?
factual.
Is that racism?
No, it's factual.
Yeah. He fought for a people. He didn't want violence against them. He wanted to put them in a point where black people wouldn't have to live, where they were under the ideology that the government had to protect them, or like they couldn't live without the government. He wanted them to have rights. He wanted them to have freedom. He wanted them to live like each one of us does, like you do, Mark. Getting
And
jobs.
that's the
Yeah.
thing. That's the thing is that what people fail to realize is what they call anti-black is anti the stereotype about blacks. But I think that, in my opinion, that more so says a lot about them than it does anybody who negatively views that stereotype. Because they view that is 100% their identity. That is all them.
Yeah.
They love it.
And based on this claim, there was a Christian pastor, content creator, who tried to deny him as unchristlike, all right, and tried to deny him of his martyrdom without even giving an RIP to him as a human. What does it say to you about that Christian person? Where
And
has
just for
humanity
reference, guys,
gone down the
sorry,
drain? Yeah.
real quick, just for reference, guys, so you can understand what Christians are actually doing. My church just last night, we prayed for the repose of Charlie Kirk's soul. There's a big difference between what somebody who is following the teachings of Christ does versus what that person did.
Claim number 4, I think it's illegal immigration.
Good afternoon, Charlie. Thank you. Yeah. Okay. Thank you for letting me speak. I'm studying abroad from Italy for this semester. Sorry? Yeah, from Roma. I've seen your videos online and I really respect what you are doing here. I have a question because in Europe we are facing the same problem with illegal immigration. And what are your stance on illegal families who came here many years ago and now are working and paying taxes in your country?
Every person who has come here illegally must be returned to their country of origin.
And I completely agree with you. I'm here to say something. I really like the speech that J.D. Vance did in Munich after the terrorist attack.
Do we like J.D. Vance, everybody? Isn't J.D. great?
Well, I'm not American, but I like him too. If I were American, I would have voted for him. However, in Europe, we are having a big problem with illegal immigration. People are coming, they don't respect our laws, they're women stabbing. It's dangerous to go around. So I don't understand when people come here to talk to you, liberals and Democrats, saying that they want to welcome them, because you don't know who is entering in your country.
Amen. And I'll tell you, we need more legal immigrants like you in this country. I'll tell you what.
And it makes me upset that for me it's difficult. I'm respecting the law. I'm here. If I have to be here legally, I'm gonna go back to Italy because I cannot work. And it makes me upset seeing someone that comes here illegally and does whatever he wants. That's it.
God bless you. You want a hat?
If I can have a white one, because I already have
a white one. All right.
red.
Make Italy great again. Okay. Very good.
I wish. Good morning. I'm Lorenzo. This is the hat that Charlie Kirk gave to me while I was in San Diego, after I had the honor of shaking his hand and talking to him. What happened to Charlie Kirk yesterday is terrible. I have no words to express how I'm feeling. Charlie Kirk was a good man. He was a promoter of dialogue, he was a promoter of democracy, and he was a promoter of Christian values. Charlie Kirk was killed because of his ideas. Charlie Kirk was killed because people didn't accept different views from theirs. This is not acceptable. But what is even worse is that there are people out there cheering for his death. There are people out there that are celebrating because a man is dead. A 31-year-old man is dead. And he left behind his wife and his 2 little children. You know, people that are doing this, they are worth less than his spit. They are beasts. There are people that are not even worth talking about. I hope God may be next to his family and welcome him in paradise.
Okay, so let's get started on this. For starters, guys, you need to understand that illegal immigration is a very big issue, not just in America, but all around the world. It doesn't consist of solely one group of people. It is a numerous amounts of different groups of people. However, I can also say that in specific countries, certain groups are more common than others. Okay?
Should we name the countries?
Um,
We'll just say majority
sure.
of EU. France,
Yes. Yeah.
Germany, UK, Ireland almost getting there. Netherlands, it's bad. What else?
Italy,
Italy, Greece.
Greece. In the end, those areas, you'll notice the illegal immigrants there are majority Muslim. illegal immigration is a very real situation.
And people who are
And
saying that Jesus wouldn't have been, or Jesus would have been a refugee or a legal immigrant. Jesus went to Egypt, which was under the Roman rule. He just went from one province to another, from Syria, Palestine to Egypt, all under the Roman rule. That was not illegal. That's like
for
moving
reference,
between,
guys, I was just about to say that'd be like if I went to Georgia.
yeah, I was going to say that's like you moving states. Yeah.
Exactly. So that argument makes no sense.
And
Excuse me.
furthermore,
But
what Jesus
go
said
ahead.
about law when the Pharisees came up to him was give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar and give to God what belongs to God. We are supposed to follow law and be law-abiding citizens while obeying God. Now, what's the problem with law? Or what's the issue with law? The law comes down to the Mosaic law, right? Which is then adopted by the Romans from Christianity, all right? Romans, Greeks and Romans. Then it went to the UK Magna Carta. And that's what became law for us. So it has Christian roots. It was given from a God, a moral God, from an objective view, a viewpoint, what was morally right. So God will always be about abiding laws. And also, if you look
Yeah.
at other characters, Moses was a lawmaker. Daniel fought for his nation, and he cared about his what the Israel people, right? Who else? There was Levitical law, Joshua. We could go on.
Now, something else I want to point out too in regards to this topic is America, for example. Hold on, I think. Can you hear me, Adrian?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, so I think this AirPod had died. Hold on one second. No, that makes no sense. One of them showed up. Can you hear me?
Can hear you.
Okay, cool. So this one connected. That's really odd. But yeah, so as I was saying, in America in particular, dude, we just had 4 years of a president who literally pretty much had open borders.
You want me to make a Charlie Kirk pizza? All right, let's do it. Did you say pizza for Charlie Kirk? Rest in peace, brother. A lot of strength for the family. God bless you. I will get deported for making a Charlie Kirk pizza video. Are you crazy? Let me answer that, but let me make you a pizza. All right, let's do it. You know what's crazy? The fact that some of you guys think it's funny to mock me for making a video of a pizza in memory of someone that passed away. That doesn't say anything about me. That exposes you. I might be Mexican, but respect doesn't come with a nationality. Respect comes from values, from being raised right. And clearly some of you guys missed that lesson. The sad thing is that someday you're gonna lose someone that you care about. And when you feel that pain, maybe then you'll realize how pathetic it looks to laugh of someone else's grief. Until then, keep your jokes, because they only show how small you really are. As for me, I'm making this pizza for you guys today to show you that love is bigger than hate. Are you crazy? All right, let's do it. Enjoy this beautiful pizza, baby. You want a piece?
Illegal immigration is a very real issue, especially here in America. It's something that is worth talking about. So yeah, he was saying, yeah, I don't want illegal immigrants here. There is a legal and correct way to come to America, guys. There's a legal and correct way to move to any other country. It's not that he's against those people, as in them becoming American citizens the correct way. He's against them doing it illegally, which makes perfect sense. So I was claim 4, correct?
Yeah, I think the fifth one was that he was a bigot, or like he hated. And what it says here is because he believed that believed what really harmed the black community was the prevailing victim narrative, that they were oppressed, its role models, and the lack of fathers at home. 2 out of 3 black families don't have a father, and that's statistics. He wanted that to change. He wanted everyone to have a whole childhood, a loving childhood. Yeah.
So the argument that he was a bigot, it can't even hold up in the slightest.
Mhm.
In the end, what happened to Charlie Kirk was disgusting, despicable, and just wrong.
How's it going, Charlie? I'm Austin. I just had a question related to Second Amendment rights. We saw the shooting that happened recently, and a lot of people are upset. But I'm seeing people argue for the other side that they want to take our Second Amendment rights away. How do we convince them that it's important to have the right to defend ourselves and all that good stuff?
Yeah, it's a great question. Thank you. So I'm a big Second Amendment fan, but I think most politicians are cowards when it comes to defending why we have a Second Amendment. This is why I would not be a good politician, or maybe I would, I don't know, but because I actually speak my mind. The Second Amendment is not about hunting. I love hunting. The Second Amendment is not even about personal defense. That is important. The Second Amendment is there, God forbid, so that you can defend yourself against a tyrannical government.
Come on.
And if that talk scares you, wow, that's radical, Charlie. I don't know about that. Well, then you have not really read any of the literature of our founding fathers. Yep. Number 2, you've not read any 20th century history. You're just living in Narnia. By the way, if you were actually living in Narnia, you would be wiser than wherever you're living, because C.S. Lewis was really smart. So I don't know what alternative universe you're living in. Yep. You just don't want to face reality that governments tend to get tyrannical, and that if people need an ability to protect themselves and their communities and their families. Now, we must also be real. We must be honest with the population. Having an armed citizenry comes with a price. And that is part of liberty.
Wow.
Driving comes with a price. 50,000 people die on the road every year. Wow. That's a price. You get rid of driving, you'd have 50,000 less auto fatalities. But we have decided that the benefit of driving, speed, accessibility, mobility, having products, services, is worth the cost of 50,000 people dying on the road. Wow. So we need to be very clear that you're not going to get gun deaths to 0. It will not happen. Right. You can significantly reduce them through having more fathers in the home, yes, by having more armed guards in front of schools. Yes. We should have an honest and clear reductionist view of gun violence, but we should not have a utopian one. You will never live in a society when you have an armed citizenry and you won't have a single gun death. That is nonsense. It's drivel. Wow. But I think it's worth it. I think it's worth to have a cost of, unfortunately, some gun deaths every single year, so that we can have the Second Amendment to protect our other God-given rights. That is a prudent deal. It is rational. Nobody talks like this. They live in a complete alternate universe. So then how do you reduce? Very simple. People say, oh, Charlie,
Now, again, whether it was who we said it was in the beginning or if it was over something else, that's yet to be seen.
And I think he also said that he didn't like the New Age term empathy. Am I correct? Like it was, he mentioned something about that. And that was something the liberals were after, calling it extremely disgusting, if I am not mistaken. Right?
Well, my thing is that if you take one look at them, it's like, do you have any room to call anybody extremely disgusting?
Sorry?
I was making a joke about the liberals. I was like, if you look at them, do they have any room to really say to anybody that they're extremely disgusting?
Let me find some. I'm finding a thread. Yeah, I found a thread. Yeah. So this is what he was talking about, empathy, right? Don't confuse empathy and compassion. I share his stance on the word because I know the meaning, unlike a majority of liberals. Too long didn't read?
Facts.
Empathy gives you a choice whom you should relate with. Compassion doesn't, and it is love and care to all without choosing. That's why he standed against the modern psychology term of empathy. And I think there's another one. I want every liberal Christian to hear it. All right? Yeah. I'm just going to leave something here. The morally bankrupt will keep accusing him, Christian martyr, Charlie Kirk, taking things he said out of context and hyper-visualizing assumptions. This accusing tactic is also common with the devil. God won't judge a man by his sins alone or by his lowest. What people do by dragging the least of a person or trying to make an agenda here is to make judgment, nullifying the whole life he lived and being an unfair judge, something that even God wouldn't do. And I want to mention that by taking judgment upon yourself is for you to play the role of God, which is blasphemy in itself. And furthermore, if you think you can judge one person by their failures alone, you're nullifying grace, you're nullifying the point of Christ, you are nullifying your entire existence, because if you applied those standards on you yourself, you'd have no chance.
Amen. All right, brother, we got to wrap it up. I got to get off the phone. It is getting late where I'm at. What time is it for you?
It's 8:23 a.m.
I saw Charlie 2 weeks ago. Talked to him the day before yesterday. He's a hero. He's the best of this country and who we are. He was willing to talk to people who actually disagreed with him. What a novel idea. We don't do that anymore. We needed more Charlie Kirks, but today we lost the one that we had. We pray for his family. We hope he rests in peace. Most importantly, we hope we revive the country that he was fighting for. It's the best we can do. And Charlie, we're going to miss you, but we're not going to forget you. We're going to honor you by building this country so your kids can grow up in the country you were fighting for. Thank you, my man. We'll miss you.
When I got home last night, Gigi, our daughter, just ran into my arms. And I talked to her and she said, Mom, I missed you. I said, I miss you too, baby. She goes, where's Daddy? Can you tell me how you old? She's 3. baby. Daddy loves you so much. Don't you worry. He's on a work trip with Jesus.
The assassination of my friend Charlie Kirk is going to have some generational trauma on Gen Z, especially college students. And here's why. For years, conservative students on campuses were taught to shut up, keep your thoughts to yourself, or face censorship or job consequences. And then over the last year, they actually gained the confidence to speak their minds in the open, to debate with respect. Things were going well. And then the top guy who inspired them to do it was assassinated exactly on a college campus. It happens to every generation. Mine was the millennial generation. I graduated on the eve of the 2008 financial crisis, and we were jaded with respect to capitalism. But here's my message to young people. We can't be cynical about our country. We can't be cynical about the ideals that made this country great, because it's the only one we have, and it is the greatest nation known to the history of mankind. And there's new ways to communicate. Look at how I'm talking to you right now. This is the modern era, and it's empowering. Tech companies are no longer censoring you. You're no longer cowed into submission in the job market, not like you used to be. So my message is, don't despair. Stay brave. Keep speaking your mind. That's what our founders wanted. That's what my friend Charlie Kirk wanted. That's what I'm asking you to do. That's how we're going to keep this country great.
What I want to say is that we have not been silenced. We will never be silenced. We will keep fighting for God. What has happened from this is that many conservative Christians, those who stand for family values, good health, moral being, these things, they have not been taken away from our lives anymore. We have just lost our social filter. We have just lost our social barrier when it comes to speaking to you.
Well, you're not very nice, Charlie. Bingo. I don't strive to be nice. I strive to be obedient to the Lord. I strive to tell the truth. Don't care if I'm nice. Completely irrelevant.
A Christian? My name
very, very much so.
Like, why is that exactly?
Jesus saved my life. I'm a sinner, gave my life to Christ, most important decision I ever made.
So you believe the Bible is real?
Yes, I believe the Bible is true and real. Yeah.
Why is that?
Well, I could give you the technical answer. There's never been an archaeological discovery that has contradicted the truth of the Bible. And then, of course, the wisdom. There is not a truth of the Bible that if you apply to your life does not improve dramatically. And then finally, we have the most accurate and transparent, historically robust account that one can have of the most important figure ever to live in the history of the world, Jesus of Nazareth. And the resurrection is the pinpoint of my belief that Jesus did rise from the grave so that we may live.
What makes Christian mythology real?
So that's not mythology, but that is theology. If Genesis 1:1 and the resurrection is true, anything in the Bible is possible. You're looking at the greatest miracle. The greatest miracle is creation. And then the fact that Jesus rose from the dead. And I say, how do you know that Jesus rose from the dead? Well, show me another historical piece of a story where so many people willingly died a brutal death for a lie. Every single person around him had everything to lose, and yet they went to the absolute death, from Paul to Peter to the half-brother of James, saying that Jesus is Lord, Jesus rose from the dead. Not to mention, if you were going to fake a story, you would not use female witnesses in the ancient world. In the scriptures, it said that the women were the first one to see Jesus Christ. If you're trying to fake a story, you would never do that.
Because Charlie Kirk spoke with respect. If you shot that respect with a bullet, we will not be using that anymore in our words. We have lost that social filter, and we will be standing for Christ. And what I want to say is that we are Charlie Kirk.
I come to say goodbye.
Where are you going?
Just on a little trip.
Oh, Charlie, I'll miss you.
Yeah. I'll miss you too, Squeaker.
Charlie, will I ever see you again?
Sure. Sure you will, kid. You know, goodbyes aren't forever.
Then, goodbye, Charlie. I love you.